Paradise, Louisiana, with Gary Risponi and Don Dubuque. Paradise, Louisiana would also like to thank these sponsors.
Baton Rouge Coca-Cola Bottling Company, Benny's Car Wash and Oil Change, Cracker Barrel Convenience Stores. We have more than you expect. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Louisiana, Farm Bureau Insurance, Louisiana Fish Fry Products, Demco, First South Farm Credit, Area Wholesale Tire Company, with tire programs for tire dealers.
Welcome to Paradise, Louisiana. I'm Gary Risponi, and Don, I don't know whether we call it a spring edition or not. We're supposed to have another 30-degree day.
Spring came, we hit some 80-degree temperatures, and back this week down into the 30s. It's incredible.
I know what I think happened. It made it get warm enough the grass grew. And it cooled it down a little bit so you didn't burn up when you was cutting the grass.
Okay.
So,
well, I don't think it's really going to affect the fishing that much. That water temperature came up. It would take a lot more than that to get it back down. But as far as going out this week, you had to have a little jacket on and kind of keep a little warm because that cool weather certainly came back. But the fishing continues to improve the further we get into the spring, headed towards summer.
Okay, where was your episode this week?
Well, I was down in Plaquemines Parish fishing with two of the greatest, Ryan Lambert and Deadly Dudley Vandenborre, fishing for speckled trout, some redfish too down along the coast, trying to measure the progress of that annual speckled trout migration. We went all the way out to the beach, found some fish there. Conditions were off, a lot of wind, not much tide. We're expecting, we had a full moon this week, the spawn is on. Fishing definitely going to improve in that area.
Yeah, I went down to the Stephenville area and I was going to scout with Jody Russo. We were going to fish the seniors tournament Friday, and then for some unforeseen things we didn't get to fish, but good thing because we went on a fish. I think Jody caught one bass and we caught one brim. I got a few of the video, but I'm too ashamed to show it. Gary Krause and Joe fished the tournament. He had his GoPro on, but they didn't catch a fish. So, but there's some people caught some fish. They had a practice for this state high school bass tournament coming up on 9th and 10th. We got some pictures of the winners, and we got a little report on them. We talk a little bit more about the saltwater series that was held last week. We got the report a little bit late. We got a lot of news right now, okay? And I'm going to let you talk about the news. I know we want to talk about hogs and snapper. Tell us what we got.
Well, on the fishing side, we got a couple of big issues. It was announced, the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, that Louisiana is going to go to a 365-day open red snapper season in state waters. So we'll tell you how that came down. Also, there's another controversial bill in the legislature right now about raising the cost of a saltwater fishing license. There are a lot of people who are against that for more than one reason. We'll get to that. On the hunting side, yeah, another yet unique way to try to control that feral hog population. We're going to talk about that, and lots more news to talk about here, so we'll get to that.
Yeah, and we want some feedback, too, on the hogs and the regulations as far as the license concerned, too, because like you said on your radio show, you're getting a bunch of calls, a bunch of emails, and we'd like to chime in on that, see what some of the viewers think about raising this saltwater.
In fact, we would be glad to take your opinion if you got a comment on any of these issues we bring up. Gary at Paradise, Louisiana, we'd love to hear from you. We'll run your comments on the screen.
Yeah, it's funny. It's ironic, too. While we're talking about snapper, we got some more good snapper reports coming from the Gulf. So we got some bass reports. We got some reports coming for catfish. So all I can say is hang on and see what we got.
And if you missed it, you really missed a good event. I'm talking about the Archbishop Rummel Beast Feast. We got some of the highlights from that. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with more. You're watching Paradise, Louisiana.
When you're ready to really enjoy life at a slower pace, become a landowner. First South Farm Credit specializes in financing and refinancing land, but not just for farmers. They offer loans to purchase timberland, hunting and fishing, or recreational property. Their experience in land, timber, and loans set them apart from standard lending institutions. Contact a First South Farm Credit loan officer for more information. First South Farm Credit, a specialized rural land investment lender helping you realize your dream.
John here. Welcome to my kitchen. On those hot summer days, there isn't anything better than a cool tuna fish salad. One of the best ones around is made with Louisiana remoulade dressing. Make sure you add in your chopped celery, your chopped onion, your relish, chopped egg, your mayo, and remoulade. And we add all that to 7 to 9 ounces of tuna fish. And you will end up with a cool remoulade tuna fish salad. Look for the recipe at ParadiseLouisiana.com. Try it today, it's wonderful.
These engines run for thousands of hours to prove that
We did. With 20% more cleaning agents than before, Shell nitrogen-enriched gasoline.
the gasoline protects your engine better.
Awkward. Try Shell nitrogen-enriched gasolines.
No other gasoline protects your engine better.
Visit Cracker Barrel convenience stores before heading fishing or hunting. We have more than you expect.
Welcome back to Paradise, Louisiana. And Gary, this week's fishing mission was down in Plaquemines Parish, leaving out of the Cajun Fishing Adventures Lodge with Captain Ryan Lambert. Captain Dudley Vandenborg came along, got a new popping cork bait coming out, wanted to give that a test. The other thing we wanted to check was measure the distance that the speckled trout are starting to show up outwards towards the beaches, and we did find some. It was a real bad tide day, so it made fishing kind of tough. We also had some pretty windy conditions. But one of the strange things that really happened, and we were all commenting about this, I've never been on a trip where so many redfish were hooked and lost. Speckled trout, you can figure that's going to be a casualty because they got the little soft mouth and they're doing the head shake thing, so you generally lose them. But a redfish, you got some solid, hard bone in that mouth, and generally when you got a redfish hooked, he's on for the duration. Ryan explained that he thought because these fish were not feeding because of the lack of tide. When we did hook up a redfish, it was generally because you put that bait right in front of him and just out of instinct he might grab it. But he really didn't swallow it deep or run with it, you know?
You know, something similar to that, and we were fishing with towfield one time, and we got on them drums, schooling, and we using regular plastics. They would take it, let it go. When we went to the Gulf, crab, they had a little scent, then we were just hooked up every time.
Yeah. Well, it was
So
kind of
maybe
strange.
maybe it's a little scent, like
Yeah.
I think Ron hit it on the head.
Yep. Well, we picked up a few fish, both fishing on the bottom with just a regular jig head, but there was also a lot of fish caught on the cork because it did allow your bait to stay in that strike zone a little bit longer. And one of the interesting things we talked about was Ryan, because, you know, a lot of people look for certain phenomenon that take place when fish get into feeding frenzies. Of course, you see the birds when the shrimp are being driven up and the birds are feeding on top. You saw last week the whitewater effect where the bait was coming in. But something that's a little known, I was really surprised how few people knew about it. There's a glass minnow spawn that takes place, and it's this time of the year, and it's pretty much the only place I know where it really happens with any regularity is down there on the east side of the Mississippi River around Pointe-A-La-Hatch down there in Plaquemines Parish. And what happens when those glass minnows spawn, it almost looks like jelly frog eggs. Their eggs are all over, and they wash up in the grass on the edges of the cuts. And everything is eating up, tearing those eggs, and also the spawning minnows.
And you got some
birds.
shots where you can see that.
We've had some in the past. I don't know if we can find it because we haven't witnessed it yet this year. It's probably going on right now, and Ryan was talking about everybody looks forward to it because when you see it, you can't miss it. As every species of fish, every species of bird is just going into a frenzy tearing up these minnows and their eggs. In fact, Ryan talked about it, and he'll explain a little more detail about what's going on. And also your springtime fishing as we make that move towards summer. If you're going down to Plaquemines Parish, how to fish those beaches. Here it is, Captain Ryan Lambert, along with Captain Dudley in Plaquemines Parish. Nice speckled trout. Oh, no! Some of them get away, but not all of them.
On this side, the shrimp will start coming in this full moon. They'll start pushing in a little bit along this beach, and when they show up, everything comes with them. So right now, until that happens this week or next week, everything will start moving out this way. So you just fish the shell reefs and stuff right now, right on the edge of it. Today we had some low water that really hampered us, but once that tide, you know, tomorrow's a new tide, start the new tide. So after that, everything will change. This is our time of year where we're going to transition into the summertime fishing. Oh, and he pulled. Oh, no, not again. That was a good one. It drops off a little bit. That's a nice fish. If you get around these reefs, these shell reefs, you'll see as the tide comes in, the fish will start coming in to feed on top of those reefs, and you get on the point, you'll catch the trout or any little dip. Then the reds, you'll see them coming. They'll, just like we saw today, they'll be stationed on top, or you can sight fish them. But this is a special time for us right now. This is going to start the summertime fishing. Look, a red stayed on, boy. It's a miracle.
Yeah, because he's undersized.
Yeah.
He's got to go back anyway.
Yeah. Blooded me. He's lucky. He's lucky I don't press him off and get an extra inch because got some blood.
Get off of there. Got to be a drum the way he's fighting. And this is the fish that they love too.
You know, April's the time of year that I'll use a cork. I don't particularly like to use a cork, but something about April, the water's still cool, the fish are still a little lethargic, and when the shrimp start coming, you'll throw that cork and that popping noise will make them crazy. So April is the cork month for us. Now after that, you know, top water too, you know, it just depends on what kind of customers you have, if you want to throw 9 hooks or not. But everything will start when those shrimp start coming in, which shouldn't be any day now.
I think that's the only thing I like about fishing with a cork is the noise a cork makes. That one hit it like that was plenty. It just hit the water and hit it. Yeah, no. But that doesn't mean nothing. You know, you could throw it right in front of one of them's face.
All right, there we go.
Nice one, Don.
Perfect way to end the day. Nice, big, beautiful speckled trout. Sure sign, summertime fishing along the coast is on its way. Calm down, calm down. There we go.
Ask me about my Tempur-Pedic.
Ask me how fast I fall asleep.
Why not talk to someone who's sleeping on the most highly recommended bed in America?
Ask me about staying asleep.
Tempur-Pedic owners are more satisfied than owners of any traditional mattress brand.
Ask me how it feels after 10 years.
Tempur-Pedic, the most highly recommended bed in America.
Ask about Tempur-Pedic at Olin's, where you know you always get the guaranteed low price. Olin's is the only store in Baton Rouge and Lafayette with the full line of Tempur-Pedics.
Benny's Car Wash and Oil Change has been keeping cars and trucks in Baton Rouge clean and running smooth for over 50 years. At Benny's, we feature professional car washing, complete detailing, high-tech waxing and buffing, interior cleaning, and tire shine. Benny's, one stop for car maintenance with complete oil and lube services and even state inspections at our express locations. Visit one of our 5 convenient locations, including our newest store on Greenwell Springs Road. And don't forget to stop by Be Quick Convenience Store and Fuel Stop. Benny's Car Wash and Oil Change. Drive in dirty, drive out clean.
Now in its 5th year, the Louisiana Saltwater Series Redfish Trail will visit 8 marinas across Louisiana in what is sure to be the most exciting season yet and a true test for the best redfish anglers. With nearly 3,000 redfish tagged and over $200,000 in prize money awarded, this is a 100% payout 2-man team event for only a $200 entry fee. To register online or see when and where the next tournament is scheduled, visit lasaltwaterseries.com.
As members of a Touchstone Energy Cooperative, we've all got a job to do. And the more we work together, the more we save. That's the power of your co-op membership.
Demco, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
Welcome to the news segment of Paradise, Louisiana. And Gary, a lot of things happening in the last week or so. We'll start off with the fishing issues. Red snapper season, the big news. Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries announced we are now going to go to a 365-day open season on red snapper in Louisiana state waters, which we are claiming out to 3 marine leagues, which, depending on who you talk to, is somewhere between 9 and 10 miles out. So it's basically open season on red snapper. Limit's still going to be 2, 16-inch minimum size, but you can fish any day you choose in red snapper.
What brought that on? The most thing. What brought it on?
The feds, government? Sure, the National Marine Fisheries Service and Gulf Fisheries Council.
They responded to the suit that the commercial fishermen did. So they're going to be able to get their 51%. Then they're going to put, I guess you call it recreational fishermen that go with charter boats. Charter boats are going to be lumped in with us. So they were figuring that we were going to be over our limit real quick, or our quota. So they cut the recreational fishermen to 11 days. Now, Louisiana's not the only one that's going to act on this. I think Texas has already made the decision, and Florida going to be voting on it them. So the line's drawn in the sand one more time, you know.
Well, if they haven't got the message yet, I don't know what it's going to take. But an 11-day season is basically a joke, and in response to that, we went with this move. Now it's their move in this chess game, and I'm thinking they might just eliminate federal waters altogether this year for red snapper, which will basically force statewide regional management or statewide management on each state's part in their own waters, and there'll be no taking of red snapper out in the Gulf waters. Now, how ridiculous and how stupid is that when you got a Gulf full of a species and nobody can catch them?
And it's all because they're not using the scientific data that's brought to them. They just ignore it.
Well, it's a mess. It's mismanagement, but just be aware, if you go out and you stay within state waters, I'm trying to get an answer if we can get a map printed of the coast, of where that actual line is, where you can go inside or outside of it. You can go out and catch your red snapper.
You're still on your own.
No, you're on your own, right.
If you're on your own, you go there, but, you know, when we get to the fish report, you're going to see a lot of big snapper have been caught within that 9-mile radius.
Don't miss out on it. Now, a major problem with this whole thing is because the charter boats are federally permitted, they have to adhere to the federal regulations. They are not allowed to take part in that state water. If you or I got caught, maybe there'd be a fine if a judge or jury would say, yeah, you know, you were violating it because that's not state waters, and that's up for discussion, and I don't think anybody would ever have to pay a ticket if they fought it. But a charter captain, he could lose his federal permit and basically get put out of business. Right. So it's much more serious to them. So if you're planning on going with a charter captain, if we don't get that 11 days, whatever we've got is the only time would be available, but he cannot take you fishing in state waters. Another big change in our fishery, this has been discussed at several commission meetings now. We've had, biologist Mike Wood has been on the show with us to explain that apparently the slot limits on many of our trophy and quality bass lakes has not worked. It hasn't produced the desired results. In fact, it's kind of hindered the fishermen. So effective Easter Sunday, this coming Sunday, what is going to happen is fish will be allowed to be taken without any restrictions on size limit. You're still going to have your creel limits. If you want to look at that new list of lakes, go to the Department of Wildlife and Fisheries website, and they are listed there. That's a big change.
There's a lot of them, especially across Lake and all them lakes up in the north. It's been like that for years, but the scientific study showed it wasn't doing any good. Thank God that Louisiana Wildlife and Fisheries do go back. Mike Woods and his crew, they do extensive study, and they go back and they're looking, and they're not scared to change. And I appreciate them. I congratulate them on that. What about the license to build in the legislature right now?
Well,
this is something that's really going to be controversial. I'm all for spending money on research and trying to do things that are right, but to just change it one time, it's hard, because if you're going to call it saltwater license and then constantly the federal government is putting these things against us, and the less fish you can catch, and they keep making regulations, and then they want to go up on a license, I don't think it's the right time.
Well, there's a lot of issues dealing with this license increase. If you look at it in terms of percentage, it's a big jump. It's 136% more than what you're paying now. But in terms of dollars and cents, you're talking about another $7.50, which generates an awful lot of money because of the number of licenses that are sold. You're talking about a lot of money going into a pot. That money is to be set aside in creating a new fund called the Saltwater Marine Research Fund. So now we know what experience we've had in the state with funds.
Historically, okay? That's right. What about the refund?
Right. Not just the refund. the Conservation Fund, the Rigs to Refund, and if you remember, think back to 1995 under the Foster administration when Jimmy Jenkins was with Wildlife and Fisheries, in order to buy back the nets from the commercial fishermen when we went to limited take on speckled trout and game fish on redfish, everybody who fished saltwater paid a one-time $3 saltwater permit fee, which generated somewhere in the area of $900,000. 15% of that money, or 20% of it, was to go to enforcement, to enforce the gill nets. The rest of it was going to be used to buy the nets back from the commercial fishermen who were being put out of business. Well, when it all settled, there were only 11 commercial fishermen who had the tax verification in the records to qualify for the buyback. The question was, where did the rest of this money go? I chased Fred Prejean with Wildlife and Fisheries around for almost 2 years trying to get an answer of where that money was spent. To this day, I still don't know where it was spent. So it's a question of, we know that they like to raid funds. There's been attempts to raid the rigs.
All the governors.
Edwards tried to raid the Conservation Fund. Will they raid this fund? In fact, in that bill, and I talked to David Cresson with CCA, who is fully behind this increase, he says they feel very comfortable with it. This money will be dedicated, truly dedicated, and only used for the purpose that it's set aside for. However, there is at the present time, that it may be changed, because when this law gets into committee, they might change this, but there was a stipulation that 15%, up to 15%, could be used for other purposes if it's not being spent. So, you know, and of course he said, well, Wildlife and Fisheries is going to make sure they spend every penny of it. Well, that's fine and good to say.
What happened last time?
Well, when, you know, who runs Wildlife and Fisheries?
That's right.
The administration, the governors, and if they pass it on down, don't budget this money. Anyway, it comes down to what I think a bigger element of trust versus economics. You talk to the average fisherman, I've heard from them on my radio show, it's not the money. We think the money's fine if it can be used. The department does an excellent job. You got to give them credit. They manage our fisheries great, and they have more money, they could even do a better job. But the question is the trust. Will our money that we are self-imposing this fee on ourselves be used properly, or will they go in there and grab it and spend it somewhere else? And right now, I'm telling you, most people are not for it because of that reason.
Everybody has got something that's going to hold them back to doing it. I personally have always believed that the people using the resource ought to pay for it. So if fishermen out there using it, we getting the benefit out of it, let's pay for it. Just like things, sometimes we got to fight Army Corps engineers do something to damage it, or the oil companies, okay? Oil companies are using the damage, I think they ought to pay for it. In a fair way. I'm talking about fair way. Don't go make all of them pay for one thing and that other people are using. So I believe in user fees, and I agree with that, $7 to do that. But it needs to be protected. They need to write that law so restrictive that nobody can raid that fund, and then I'll go along with it.
Well, CCA is putting their reputation behind it. They say that we feel so confident that this money will not be taken, but that remains to be seen.
Yeah, that's good.
It's a House bill. Senator Bishop from Lafayette is the author of it. If you want to get a hold of your legislator and tell him how you feel about it, you can mail him, you can email him, you can give him a phone call and let them know.
You can weigh in at Paradise Louisiana too. Gary at ParadiseLouisiana.com. Don, the outdoor guy at that time, you got a lot of comments. We'd like to hear from you.
All right, and the final issue we want to talk about, hogs. We talked about the helicopter the department is researching the possibility of issuing permits to private landowners to let a helicopter company come in, and for a fee that doesn't cost the taxpayers, it can either be generated by the people who participate or the landowners to shoot hogs by helicopter as an effective means. Now they're going another step further. It's been used in Australia. There's basically a salt or a sodium nitrate product that is laced with it will act as a toxin or a poison, and supposedly it does not affect other animals. Deer, turkey, anything else will be safe, but it's deadly on hogs, and they're considering getting this going as yet another method to control the feral hog population.
I ought to jump the gun on this, and like I said, I want to hear from people and what their thoughts on this. But I've talked to some people that are really studying the hog problem. They've done both. They hunt them in airboats. Talked to Ronnie Hemel, who hunts 8 out of 10 times. a month that he's hunting hogs. He goes on private land. People are trying to eradicate the hogs, and he's hunting them himself. He's hunting them at night everywhere he can do legal. He's still a little skeptical. He wants to find out. They say that it's perfectly safe. Don't affect deer or other small animals. For some reason, the hogs are attracted to it. I think they doctor it up with jello, strawberry jello. Yeah, and when the hogs just can't resist it, man, whatever works. I think they ought to test it in a controlled environment and just see how it goes. I know it's a serious problem. I was, back and forth with Ronnie on email, and Ronnie saying they're going to have to do more than what we're doing. So something's going to have to be done. The helicopters seem to look fun. You know, when you see that video, we need to send some of them guys to Afghanistan or somewhere shooting them.
That might be the ones that came back that are doing it.
Oh, I'll tell you what, them guys are good.
From a moving helicopter and a running hog.
You know, when some of that video first came out, people called me and said, "You don't call that hunters. That's what's giving all the hunters a bad name." Baby, this is not hunting. This is eradication.
Right.
This is a serious problem. Millions and millions of dollars of crop damage, farm damage, animal damage to the existing wildlife that are in the areas. This is, we're in a war. You know, it's not that. So, you know.
Hey, could that be the answer to the snow goose problem?
Yeah. You see what happened.
Snow goose hunting from a helicopter?
Snow goose hunting from a helicopter? I don't know. But you don't hear a whole lot about them right now. They were about to eat up their home
it's still
territory.
It's still bad. But, the loosening up of the regulations has
Well, you know, snow geese started the same way. You know, people used to creep them, everything. They stopped it, and then all of a sudden they exploded. And then when we went back to creeping, you had trouble. You had trouble with landowners. People were actually trespassing on other people's land. So you couldn't just creep when they would be in somebody's field you couldn't get to. You try electronic collars, they got used to that. You know, you had no plugs in your gun. You know, we can let it get out of hand. Something needs to be done now.
All right, we'll be back with more. You're watching Paradise, Louisiana.
Benny's Car Wash and Oil Change has been keeping cars and trucks in Baton Rouge clean and running smooth for over 50 years. At Benny's, we feature professional car washing, complete detailing, high-tech waxing and buffing, interior cleaning, and tire shine. Benny's, one stop for car maintenance with complete oil and lube services and even state inspections at our express locations. Visit one of our 5 convenient locations, including our newest store on Greenwell Springs Road. And don't forget to stop by Be Quick Convenience Store and Fuel Stop. Benny's Car Wash and Oil Change. Drive in dirty, drive out clean.
As sure as the sun rises over the Gulf waters, the excitement builds for the 20th year as the 2014 CCA Louisiana Star Fishing Tournament is upon us.
This tournament's for everyone. My daughter and I look forward to it every year.
How many can be caught over 101 days of fishing? And there is something else at stake. Your share of over $500,000 in prizes.
I plan to catch the first tag redfish this year and win the new Chevy truck.
Register at ccastar.com. Share in the passion. Conserve our coast.
Come to the family-owned and operated Cassius Casino in Port Allen today, where the Vegas-style video poker machines are ready for your entertainment. Cassius Casino is the finest, cleanest, classiest casino around. And Cassius 50-style diner is now serving seafood daily, along with your favorite home-cooked specials 24/7. Hey, Cassius is fun. Cassius is exciting. So come to the unsinkable Cassius Casino in Port Allen. Over the river 2 miles west of exit 151.
Welcome back to Paradise, Louisiana. And for the 12th straight year, we had some gorgeous weather for the 12th annual Archbishop Rummel Alumni Association Beast Feast, and had a record turnout. Great event.
You estimated 900 people.
Somewhere between 800 and 900. Hadn't got the total figure on it yet, and you can't fit many more in there, but it was a great night. In fact, we got some of the interviews with some of the alumni who was doing the cooking, but the whole gist of the thing is a bunch of guys get together. Some of these are professionals, cooks, and we also have some restaurants who are represented, but a lot of it's just guys who get together and bring in some seafood or bring in some game, cook it up, and serve it to the public, and the funds go to the Alumni Association.
You know, that's really a good reason. You know, a lot of people give it to the food bank and other things, but when you cook it for a fundraiser, for a school or a church or whatever, and you're also introducing people to wild game. how good
Absolutely.
it is.
Good
how
point.
good it is. You're introducing these people and you say, oh, y'all hunters out there, y'all just killing them for no reason. No, we out there, we eat what we kill, and you know I eat what I kill, what you kill too.
All right, let's take you there now for a quick trip around the Green Acres Country Club in Metairie at the Rummel's 12th Annual Beast Feast.
Greg Russo with class of 93 Rummel High School. We got moose chili today. Moose was donated by Eric Hellback, class of 93. Killed it in the Yukon. We got 40 pounds of moose meat. It's not cut with anything. Straight moose meat and chili powder and tomatoes, and it's home cooking. So we're excited. Hope everybody likes it.
John Sincongrano, class of 71. We're cooking what, pastelaia?
Pasta jambalaya.
Y'all better tell y'all names.
Dave Russo's recipe.
Yeah.
Wade Colvin, class of 71.
Dave Russo, class of 71.
Woodfield.
Class up?
Maintenance at Rummel.
Tell me, what all's in there?
Orzo pasta, tasso, chicken, sausage, seasoning, chopped seasoning,
chicken broth,
and no support ingredient probably is Paul Perdome's poultry magic and his veal and pork magic. Gotta give away a little bit of the recipe here, Don.
They tell me this is going to be the first to go.
It'll be close. It'll be between me and that moose, probably.
All right, how's it going? Jacob Russo, class of 96. We got alligator sauce pecan over here.
We don't serve till 5 o'clock.
Just getting it ready. Got a big batch here. It's almost 20 gallons of sauce pecan.
What all's in there?
In here, we have a lot of vegetables. Diced tomatoes, green chilies, you got chicken and apple sausage, and about 20 pounds of alligator meat. That's it.
So they'll be coming back for seconds on this one, you think?
I would think. We have a lot of seconds, thirds, fourths, maybe, you know, for the real men, but yes, we do. It's going to be a big day, good day.
I'm Pete Javanko, honorary of Rummel alumni, and we have duck sausage, duck tamales, deer tamales. Thank you for coming.
How many years you been doing this?
1. You want me to start all over?
Start all over.
Hi, Don. I'm Pete Javanko, Rummel alumni. We have deer tamales and we have duck tamales. Great product. Please come out.
Hank Johnson, class of 68. Best class there ever was at Rummel High School. We are cooking duck strips here. This is an almond-crusted duck strip.
Special sauce goes with that?
Special sauce goes with it.
And what is that sauce? Is it too secret to tell?
Absolutely too secret to tell. And otherwise, everybody be running to the grocery store and buying it.
Dominic Impastato, class of 1997 from Archbishop Rummel. Here cooking some bacon-wrapped quail, smoked scallops at the Raider Beast Feast.
Who's your helpers?
Sean O'Brien, class of 97. My brother, Vincent Impastato, class of 2000. Jason Euro, class of 97. This is the team Big Green Egg. All of these cooked on a Big Green Egg.
Okay, we're rolling.
Welcome to the Rummel Beast Feast. I'm Tom Machado, class of 71. Got my brother-in-law Teddy here and Danny Morrell. We're here serving smoked duck and goose jerky.
Where'd all this stuff come from?
Come from Pete Javanko. Deer Depot.
Think you got enough to make it through the event?
Absolutely. We'll have a big crowd tonight, but we're looking forward to it.
Very good.
All right, John.
I am Chef Pete Page with Chef John Fallis Events in White Oak Plantation, and tonight we are serving duck and andouille gumbo. This is a gumbo made by Chef John Fallis and Company, especially for this event. It is delicious. It's got andouille that's been smoked at our smokehouse on the plantation at White Oak Plantation, and it's also done with duck that is local duck that we got out of Covington. So, of course, this is all made at Chef John Fallis Manufacturing. He has his own custom roux maker, a giant cast iron barrel where they make huge batches of roux, all done brown roux style, just like the Cajuns would do it, just in a lot larger quantity.
build tires, but not tires like anybody else. We build Cooper tires for people, not just cars. People who are chauffeurs and shuttle pilots, heavy haulers and heavy hitters. More than what your Cooper tires can do, it's about what you can do with your Cooper tires. Life's a road trip. Come on, let's go.
Louisiana Farm Bureau Insurance doesn't hire celebrities to push auto coverage. We think people might like to make decisions based on service and savings, not just because that guy from that show says it's a good idea. Instead of faces you know from your TV, we offer faces you know from your neighborhood. Because we're based in Louisiana, with local agents right in your town. That's really the only thing we want to be famous for. Louisiana Farm Bureau Insurance. Real service, real people.
When you're ready to really enjoy life at a slower pace, become a landowner. First South Farm Credit specializes in financing and refinancing land, but not just for farmers. They offer loans to purchase timberland, hunting and fishing, or recreational property. Their experience in land, timber, and loans set them apart from standard lending institutions. Contact a First South Farm Credit loan officer for more information. First South Farm Credit, a specialized rural land investment lender helping you realize your dream.
Welcome back to Paradise, Louisiana, and for those of you who are fans of professional bass fishing circles, we're going to take you back to the Bassmaster Classic. Local Louisiana competitor, thanks to Gary Krause, who was in the boat and followed Cliff throughout the Classic. Here he is, Cliff Crochet from Louisiana.
Good morning, everybody. It's Cliff. I just want to tell everybody at home, try to win the Classic, and I just want to tell everybody thank you for keeping up. You know, I got butterflies in my stomach. It is the Classic, but I feel real good. You know, I know once I get out there and drop the trolling motor, it'll be, you know, it's just fishing, and I'm comfortable that it is the Classic and it is big, but you know, I feel good about it. It won't be a lot of bites, but I think I'm around some good ones, so we'll just slow and steady, see how it goes.
I think if that first one was over 8 pounds, it'd calm you down a little bit.
As long as he's over 15, that'll work for me.
Bassmaster Classic for his second time all the way from Louisiana. The Cajun baby, Cliff Crochet.
Bam. You know, the weather that front blew through last night, and that you know, killed some of my water, but that's not the big reason of why I didn't catch them. I had a couple areas, a couple of them did get blown up from the weather, but I had a couple areas I thought I had some fish coming to me. And I thought I'd be able to, you know, catch one here and there. The problem is I didn't catch one here. Didn't catch one there, so. But the afternoon started turning around. Yeah, and I mean, that's what it, you know, it sounds like it just went to hell, but, you know, I had 5 bites today. I think I got a 4 and a 3 in the bowl. I had a 5 or a 6, you know, miss a chatterbait. I had another good one, miss a chatterbait. I had a fish on a swim bait on a point where I caught a 6 in practice that didn't hook up. So if everything goes right, you know, I'm right where I need to be. It just didn't really go like I needed it to go.
Cajun baby Crochet fishes his second Bassmaster Classic. Member Team Skeeter Team Yamaha rolling up game number 2 in a big way. The Cajun baby came to play here today. Unbelievable rally. More. Dude, you have the loudest fans in the world. I don't know how you catch a fish with as loud as they are. 7 pounds, 5 ounces yesterday. Much more here today. Needs 9.5 to get inside the cut currently. 23 pounds, 15 ounces. Cajun baby moves into 3rd place. You're a little jacked up today, huh?
Yeah, I'm a little excited. I had a rough day yesterday, and you know, kind of ruined my tournament. But the pressure was off today, and I knew I needed to bounce back. First tournament of the season, I wanted to bounce back, and I just, you know, I kind of let it roll today.
Everybody back home, sorry for the disappointment at the Classic. I really appreciate all the texts and the calls and the good lucks, and that's really important, so I appreciate it.
We build tires, but not tires like anybody else. We build Cooper tires for people, not just cars. People who are chauffeurs and shuttle pilots, heavy haulers and heavy hitters. More than what your Cooper tires can do, it's about what you can do with your Cooper tires. Life's a road trip. Come on, let's go.
Thanks, Louisiana. Now that you have Blue Cross coverage, be sure to get the most out of your benefits.
I'm covered.
Covered.
I'm covered.
Go to bcbsla.com and get the most out of your Blue Cross coverage.
Come to the family-owned and operated Cassius Casino in Port Allen today, where the Vegas-style video poker machines are ready for your entertainment. Cassius Casino is the finest, cleanest, classiest casino around. And Cassius 50-style diner is now serving seafood daily, along with your favorite home-cooked specials 24/7. Hey, Cassius is fun. Cassius is exciting. So come to the unsinkable Cassius Casino in Port Allen. Over the river 2 miles west of exit 151.
Welcome back to Paradise, Louisiana for the Berkeley Abu Garcia Fishing Report. We start off with a couple of fishing events. Older guys, the seniors. We also had the younger guys, the high school competition.
Well, I'll tell you what, that senior deal is getting pretty good. It's getting pretty big, too. I think somebody said something here about 69 participants or 79 participants. But let me tell you what, congratulations to Uric Weber and Vic Calvaruso. They fishing the shell cuts. They came out with, came away with 3 fish, came out with almost 9 pounds. This was the bait, the rattling rogue. It was them, and a lot of those people have been catching on a rogue. It's a jerk bait. It rattles. There's all kind of ways you can fish it. Last week we was telling about people who've been catching fish around grass, off in a drop off, and Toledo been on a suspended rope, and it also rattles. So this is it. That was the best bait. Congratulations! A lot of them old time fishing. They got Popeye Nugent and Mr. Tony, Latina. These guys are in their 80s right now, and they still out competing and enjoying. That's what's so good about it. Let me congratulate Mr. Tucker. Wayne Tucker and them put this on. Some of his old friends are there all day. I'm sure if Wayne's still competing in them other big tournaments and winning. So, Don, you ought to come one time. You catch a lot of bass, and I know you fished with Dudley the other day. Dudley's getting ready to tell you right now there's a lot of fish have been caught bass around his subdivision canals and all them canals off the lake. Now,
well, those senior tournaments are great because that's the one thing about fishing and hunting as opposed to other sports. You can do it well up into the age. But also on the other end of the spectrum, we had a youth tournament too. The high school fishing is getting very, very popular.
Well, we got the state high school tournament coming up, the 9th and 10th, and they had a little practice tournament. They just said they had teams from Dutchtown, and thanks to Jim Bro from the Junior Southwest Bassmasters, he's sending me all these information. They had a practice tournament, and they had teams from Donaldsonville, Santa Maria, Livingston Parish Bassmasters. I think they had about 15 teams represented, and they had a little practice out of Adams Landing and Bell River. You'll see some of these weights. The first place was Cade Fontenot, Perryville, and Brandon Blanchett from Santa Maria. He had 5 bass, 16 pounds. That win a lot of tournaments. These are high school kids. Second place was Robbie Villeneuve from Santa Maria. He had 5 bass, 11.61 pounds. And big bass was Cade Fontenot at Perryville to 5.7. So you got one picture, a couple pictures with them. These kids, congratulations. Get ready. The junior Bassmasters now, they keep sending us reports. Thank y'all. There's a lot of people interested in these high school tournaments. They've been growing by leaps and bounds. Not only bass that are sponsoring these, BASS, but other organizations too. FLW, started with college, high school fishing right now. Kids want to get involved, you can fish with your parents or somebody else. You can get started as young as 9 years old. So that's all I can tell you. This is what it's all about, getting his youth involved. Don, we had a paddle producer. We didn't have no results. And last week, we ran it on the tour. We didn't get to talk about it a little bit, but the saltwater series was last week, and we got a new one coming up. Give me the winners on that.
Bart Crater and Todd McKellar took home $3,250, first place in the one held in Lake Charles. At Calcasieu, coming up next on May 3rd in Slidell at Dockside Marine Bait and Tackle. You can stop over there and sign up for that one. That should be a good one. Redfish is what got us through this winter, if you're a saltwater fisherman. Speckled trout was tough because of the cold, dirty water and the long, extended cool temperatures, but redfish have always been there, and I'm looking forward to even better fishing in these saltwater series tournaments.
Well, let's talk about fishing. You got the fishing report up right now, and let's talk about it, because you got some great reports. We're going to start off with saltwater again. I was telling you, snapper, Tommy Vidrine, and the Kesslers, they've been fishing just west toward Venice, and they're catching some beautiful fish in 60 foot of water. They had one, Denise Kester caught one 22 pounds, so you can hear some pictures. Thank you to Tommy Vidrine. His daughter also caught a big one, Emily. Some beautiful snapper coming from there. And again, I'm telling you, 60 foot of water. So I'm sure that's within the 9 miles or 10 miles or the 3 leagues, what you want to call it. So, Don, and you know, on the other fish, saltwater fish, you hear anything else offshore?
Yeah, tuna fishing has still been good. Wahoo's kind of winding down, but every now and then, not those big wahoo that generally you catch at the beginning of the spring and late winter, the ones that are around 90 to 100 pounds, but those 40-pound wahoo are showing up pretty regular out there with a good mix of tuna.
That far as offshore fish, that's one of the best that you can eat right there.
Yeah, it's a great grilling
You can
fish.
cook it, you can eat it raw and anything else you want.
about
Sushi.
raw.
Oh, I'm telling you, I've had it. Oh, it's sushi. It's delicious. Going back to freshwater right now, the number one fish right now being caught is catfish. Everywhere out here, I'm talking about from the Mississippi River and everything, but Lake Verret, Flat Lake, you know, I've got some great pictures coming in. I'm going to thank the P-Malls at bait shop at Lake Verret. Let me tell you about P-Mall. P-Mall guy, he's on a national reality show on Animal Planet. You can watch him. I see, you know, a couple times they're running reruns right now. But P-Mall did a really great service out of there at Shell Beach. He's got a bait shop. He's 24/7. You can call him on his cell phone. He'll bring you bait in the water. Now, I don't know if business must not be too good because that boy works his stuff. Every time I call him, he's working or he's on the water. Send me some great fish. They're catching some big catfish in out of Lake Verret. Also, he gave me a great report this week. Finally, the brim have turned on in Lake Verret. On the Shell Beach side, Shell Points, around those trees, they're using crickets. Sac-a-lay, they're running across the lake. If it ain't rough, they're fishing in around Crackerhead. Everybody knows Crackerhead. Or the outside trees, when water cleared up the other day after all that rain, and they got a little grass, you know, catching them on a blue and white jig, and they catch them on black and chartreuse when the water's real clear, if you go in the dead-end canals off of the lake. We got a great with John Garsha and his sister, Joy Jarvis. I run into them at Dryron's Landing. They fishing off the lakes. I'm probably around Grassy Lake, also catching catfish. Here's some pictures of them. We saw them at Dryron's Landing. They were trying to look for sac-a-lay. They went to Old Faithful. They were fishing cut bait. They were using the same thing with P-Mall. They were cut shad, and they were doing and night crawlers. So they were catching them in on that. That's the catfish. What do you have on freshwater fish?
Well, Delacroix Island, still, you know, you got a good mix of redfish and bass, throwing those spinnerbaits. Been some good fishing there. Still got a little problems on those North Shore rivers and bayous because of the water level there. We need that to drop out. I would suggest you stick to the marsh area, the lower areas there. You're probably going to have more success going on there.
You know, I also told you about Highway 1. It was catching fish. And for some reason, I missed the picture. By the way, Warren of Harvey, Louisiana, thanks for sending that picture. Put y'all in the picture. You know, it was a great picture. They caught a bunch of sheephead, and they caught a bunch of redfish and drum off the bank of Highway 1. Now, I can tell you can tell catch them trout will start moving in right now, too. You know, when them shrimp start moving in there, them trout will move in there right now. But right now, you shouldn't have trouble to catch you a box of fish, you know, redfish and sheephead. You can use fresh shrimp, or you can just use plastics under a cork. Don, let's talk about turkeys.
Yeah. I had a close encounter this week, very close encounter, and he used the cluck on me to beat me is what he did, but it's not over yet. Still got another week left. If those of you who hunt in Area A, areas B and C are now closed in Louisiana, so it's one more week to go before it wraps up. If you hunt in some of our neighboring states like Mississippi, Alabama, still got some more time to go. But there's been some people who have been successful this turkey season.
Well, I've been having some still pictures coming in, but let me reiterate. I promise you, I'll pay you or give you a prize, whatever. If you got a good turkey footage, send it to me, because my guys ain't been doing too well right now. They ain't hitting them gobbler. They ain't seeing them down in Butler Roads where they killed 7 or 8 of them at the beginning of the year. You know, the first weekend, for some reason, they held on up. They're not coming in, so they're not killing them. So they ain't got but a few days left. But if you took a good video, send it to me. I promise you I'll use it, and I promise you I'll make it worth your while. Then let's talk about Linda Clark. Linda Clark is the wife of Mike Clark. They hunt together a lot. They deer hunt. They turkey hunt. They do everything. Got fish together. Let me tell you what, Linda is deadly on a turkey. They killed another very big one. 10.5-inch beard, an inch and an 8 spurs, you know, one approaching 20 pounds. Then we had Mike Cavalier, who sent in us a picture. I take it back. Jeff Farrar sent me the picture. Mike Cavalier killed a big monster, 11-inch beard, 23 pounds, and an 1.25 spurs. So thank y'all guys and for sending them, because if it wouldn't be for y'all, we wouldn't have nothing on turkeys. This is the worst year I had for video.
For video, but not for turkeys. And congratulations to those of you who will be enjoying baked turkey on Easter Sunday. That's about going to wrap it up.
That's it.
All right, we'll see you next week right back here for another edition of Paradise, Louisiana.
Rattle and roll. Rattle and roll. No, rattle and roll. There's it. Rattle and roll.
Paradise, Louisiana, with Gary Risponi and Don Dubuque. Paradise, Louisiana would also like to thank these sponsors.
Baton Rouge Coca-Cola Bottling Company, Benny's Car Wash and Oil Change, Cracker Barrel Convenience Stores. We have more than you expect. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Louisiana, Farm Bureau Insurance, Louisiana Fish Fry Products, Gemco, First South Farm Credit, Area Wholesale Tire Company, Tire Programs for Tire Dealers.